On this lesson, we are going to convert. We're going to be converting metric measurements. Converting metric measurements. And let's review what our metric prefixes are. We had the smallest metric prefix, which was milli. And then we had centi. We had deci. And we had no prefix. We had deca. We had hecto. And we had kilo. Let me put the numerical values for each of these. So milli meant 1 over 1000. Centi means 1 over 100. Deci means 1 over 10. Deca means 10. Hecto means 100. And kilo means 1000. And let me actually go and put the abbreviations for each of these. So milli, we abbreviate it by M. Centi, we abbreviate C. Deci, we say D. Deca, we say DA, so that we don't confuse with deci. If you just put D, it's going to be confusing with deci. Hecto is H and kilo is K. And towards the middle here, we have three measurements that we use. We have meters, we have liters, and we have grams. And the abbreviation for meter is M, for liter is L, and for gram is G. Okay, so this lesson is on converting measurements. So let's say that we have 1 decameter. Actually, let me use the abbreviation. 1 decameter, actually let's use not 1, 3 decameters equals how many meters? Let's start off with something easy. Okay, so you need to remember two things when you're converting measurements, and this works for any measurements, is that if you're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you need to multiply. And if you're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you need to divide. And let me tell you what that means here. So we're going from decimeter to meters. Okay, which one is bigger, decimeter or just meter? And if you look at our chart at the top here, just a reminder that this is the smallest. This side is the smallest. This side is the largest. And let's locate our decimeter and meter. Decimeter is right here. And meter is right here, right? Where there's no prefix. Okay, so which one is bigger? This one right here is bigger. Meter is bigger than decimeter. Okay, so this means that we're going from a smaller unit, decimeter is smaller, to a larger unit. Okay, meter is larger. So this means we're going from a smaller to a larger, so we need to divide. Okay, we need to divide here. What do we need to divide by? So we're dividing 3 by something, and that thing that we divide by is always going to be 10. That's the thing with metric measurements. It's always going to be 10, but sometimes you need to divide by 10 more than one times. Okay, so you're always going to divide by 10. And how many times are you going to be dividing by 10? That depends on how far away the two units are. This unit and this unit are on our chart here. So decimeter is right here. Meter is right here. How far apart are they? Well, they're just one apart, right? They're just one step apart. So we're just going to be dividing by 10 one time. Okay, we're dividing by 10 one time. So we're doing 3 divided by 10. And another way of thinking multiplying and dividing by 10 is just moving the decimal point. Right? When we do 3 divided by 10, think of the decimal point that's right here. Right? For whole numbers, the decimal point is always at the end. And if we're dividing, the decimal point is going to move this way. If we're multiplying, the decimal point is going to move this way, because if we're dividing, the number needs to get smaller. If we're multiplying, the number needs to get bigger. Okay, so since we're dividing here, we're going to move the decimal point once that way. So 3 divided by 10 is going to be 0.3. Okay, so our answer here is going to be 0.3 meters. This is going to be our answer. 3 decimeter is going to equal 0.3 meters. Okay, let's try another example. Let's try another example. And let's have 6 hectometers equals how many decimeters? Okay, so this one is hecto, this part is deci. So first of all, do we need to multiply or divide in this case? And this case is we're going from a larger unit. Hecto is larger. We're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Deci is smaller. So we're using this one right here, larger to smaller. So we need to multiply here. Okay, so this time we're multiplying by 10. And how many times are we going to multiply by 10? Well, let's see how far apart hecto is from deci. Hecto is right here, deci is right here, and you have to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's 3 apart. 3 steps apart. So you have to multiply by 10 3 times. Okay, and multiplying by 10 is easy. We have to do 6 times 10, which equals 60. You multiply by 10 once. We have to multiply by 10 again, which is going to be 600. And we have to multiply by 10 again, which is going to be 6,000. Another way to think about this is every time you multiply by 10, you're moving the decimal point once this way. Okay, so if you're multiplying by 10 3 times, we did 1, 2, 3 times here. Just move 1, 2, 3 times. You just move the decimal point 3 times. And you fill in the blank spots with zeros. So that way you're going to get 6,000. I think this way you get the same answer, but I think this way is a little bit faster and easier. Okay, so we're just moving the decimal point 3 times when you're multiplying by 10 3 times. So our answer is going to be 6,000. Okay, so 6 hectometers, when you convert 6 hectometers to decimeters, it's going to equal 6,000 decimeters. Okay, let's do one last problem, this time with a decimal measurement instead of a whole number. So we have 12.46 decagram equals how many centigram? Okay, so first of all, which one of these should we use? Should we multiply or should we divide? Are we going from a larger to a smaller unit or from a smaller unit to a larger unit? Well, deca is right here. Centi is right here. So deca is larger. We're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So that means we need to multiply. Okay, so let's multiply this by 10. And how many times are you multiplying by 10? How many times do you have to go from deca to centi? You have to go once, twice, 3 times. So we have to multiply by 10 3 times. And when you're dividing or multiplying by 10 to a decimal, you're just moving the decimal point. So we have 12.46. For multiplying by 10 3 times, we're moving the decimal point 3 times this way. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you're filling in the blank spot here with 0. So that is going to equal 12,460. And that is going to be our answer, 12,460. Okay, so that's a comma here actually, not a decimal point. So I encourage you, when you start converting metric measurements, to write this chart at the top. Write this chart at the top of your notebook or your textbook. It's going to make things so much easier. When you do write this chart though, do not forget to also include this blank spot, the spot where there are no metric prefixes, because this spot matters when you're counting off how many times you need to go over to the next prefix. So for example, when you're going from deca to centi, you have to count this step as well, or else it's going to mess up your calculation. So include this blank spot and write this at the top of your notebook or textbook. It's going to make things so much easier. And one last thing I would like to say is this rule right here should give you a hint of whether the answer makes sense or not. So for example, if you're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you're multiplying, right? You're multiplying. That means your answer should be bigger than the original question. So that an example would be this one right here. This was our original question and this was our answer. The answer is bigger than our original question. So make sure that you're checking that. Is your final answer bigger than your original question? Or in the case when you're going from a smaller to a larger unit, you're dividing. So your answer should be smaller than the question. Okay, so yeah, you can also write this rule down on your paper so that it makes things easier when you're calculating. But I think with more practice, you're going to be more comfortable. And yeah, I think practice would be the best way to get familiar with converting metric measurements or with any calculations you do in mathematics.